Good evening and welcome to A Soft Place to Land. As you know, my name is Hope and I am happy to be with you this evening. I am truly excited about our guest this evening. We're going to continue the discussion on mental health and the importance of attaining healthy mindset and good mental health. As you know, we have Dr. Tracy Reed that's going to join us this evening. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hey, drop down in the comments. Let me know how we're doing. What were your thoughts? What other show topics that you would be interested in? We'd be glad to hear your voice. We're waiting for Dr. Tracy to get in. She should be in a few moments. So let's get this going. How's everybody doing this evening? Hey, when you get in the comments, let us know where you're commenting from. Remember to share our show out. We're trying to grow. We're so awesome. We've got 30 subscribers. Hey, let's see if we can get to 100 before the close of the month. Okay. Just waiting for Dr. Tracy to join us. This, as you know, as you can tell, is a passion project for me. Good mental health is super important. We've all gone through and experienced issues in our lives, and sometimes we simply need a soft place to land. Talking with friends and family is nice, but sometimes just having someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight, who just is here to hear what we have to say, a listening ear, a shoulder to lean on, and a helping hand when it's needed. And that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here for. I'm truly, truly excited about this. I have gone through therapy. I am a proponent of therapy. I believe that getting outside counsel and therapy is truly, truly important for each and every person on the face of the earth. Someone asked me, why mental health? Why have your platform focused on good mental health? Listen, that opens the door for anyone on the face of the earth. Because we all need that soft place to land. We've all experienced issues in our lives where we just need a break. Listen, if you're a mom out there, you understand. If you're a wife out there, you understand. Hey, if you're a husband out there, you truly understand, because there are a lot of things that are on your shoulders. And sometimes you just need that place to land, that soft place to land. We're going to keep this moving until Dr. Tracy joins us. We're still waiting for her to get in. I'm excited about this. In the coming weeks, we will continue to have professionals to come and talk with us and help us get through. I also want to hear your stories. Tell me what's going on with you. Hey, hit us down. Send us an email. Reach out to us through Facebook. You're always going to see me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. We're excited about hearing and helping you. As you know, I am in the process of writing a book. Got a few working titles. I don't want to put it out there. My book it started out being a memoir, and it has gotten so much bigger. I'm going to be interviewing people. The subject matter of the book is childhood trauma. I am a survivor of childhood trauma, and I'm live victorious today. I want to tell my story and my journey, and hey, I want to hear yours as well. All right. We're going to pause for a moment while we're waiting for Dr. Tracy to come in. And we're back. Dr. Tracy was just having a few technical difficulties, but I think she's going to be coming in shortly. I'm truly, truly excited about this conversation and looking forward to the information that she's going to be giving us and providing us with. Here she is. One moment. Hi, Dr. Tracy, you are muted.
Hey, Hope.
How are you?
Oh my goodness. That took forever to get in. Sorry about that.
I know.
It's so good to see you. How are you doing?
I am well. I am well. Thank you. And how are you doing?
I'm great. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Good, good. Well, welcome to A Soft Place to Land, our new YouTube channel. I'm super excited about, our conversation that we're going to have. As you know, our channel focuses on attaining good mental health. And that's what I wanted you to talk with us about today. Sure. First, let's start here. I have one of my favorite YouTubers, Little Black Book 91. Pardon me. I want to give him his props. He always opens the interview with something he calls human verification. And there's one question that he always asks that I absolutely love. So here's the question. Milk or cereal first?
Milk or cereal first? Okay, let me think about that. Oh, cereal first, and then I pour in the milk.
See, I think for him, he thinks milk first. I think it's a UK thing. He's from UK. So I'm like, no, you gotta put the cereal first.
Yeah, because I feel like once I get the cereal in the bowl, then I'll be able to judge exactly how much milk I need. Depending on the cereal.
100%. I agree. So that proves that you are human and not just a hologram.
Yes. I got my stamp. I'm in.
Yes, you are in. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation for this evening. Thank you so much. So tell us a little bit about who Dr. Tracy is.
I always have problems with this, introducing myself. It's just, I guess, a weird thing, kind of talking about yourself. But I mean, I guess me as Dr. Tracy, I am Tracy Reed. I am a licensed professional counselor supervisor here in the state of Louisiana. And really, that just means that I have spent the last 20 plus years of my life working as a counselor in the mental health profession, right? And so I really enjoy my opportunities to really be able to help guide people through whatever challenges or transitions or, whatever they're experiencing in the moment. And so, whether you want to call that therapy, by a licensed counselor, or whether you want to call that life coaching, by a spiritual kind of intuitive, whatever it looks like. And I'm happy with that. I like that. I love what I do. I love holding space for folks that really need a soft place to land. So I think that, from the very beginning, I've always loved the name of your group and, how that has come about. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. I am a Louisiana girl, born and raised in South Louisiana and, still here living my best life in New Orleans and just happy to be, a part of conversations and spaces like this where I can let my people know that counseling is something that can be helpful for you and it's available to you if that's
Right.
something.
Right. Well, thank you. And that's great. I invited you, because I've been acquainted with you for some time. And I really like your approach and I like your technique. Talk to us about what caused you to go into the mental health field.
Well, I mean, I sort of can kind of remember, right, that I've always had this helper energy, this helper mentality, like the person that, all of my friends would come to when we were teens about, how to handle this situation or what should I say or how should I approach it, and I was sort of always put in that space where it's just kind of like, oh, let me ask you. And I was really, really good at coming up with what others should say to get through the uncomfortableness, right, of any given situation. And so that felt natural to me. But when I graduated from high school, I thought I was totally going to be a doctor. I went to undergrad and I was like, I'm just going to go in, major in biology. And, even though I had no interest in science or math, I hated math in particular, but when I went away to college, I just thought, oh, I got to be a doctor because, they make the most money. And so once I got to undergrad and I really kind of started to understand, college is more of a kind of specialty lane, right? You got to pick a lane, right? So eventually I was like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to be a regular doctor. I want to help people understand what's helping or what's over here in the mind. And so I got introduced even more to psychology than I had in a senior in high school, and then it just kind of ran with it. Once I took my first intro to psychology course in undergrad, it was just kind of like, oh, I'm changing my major. I'm a psychology major now. I want to be a psychiatrist. So it was just kind of sort of a natural thing, but I didn't realize it was a natural thing. And then I just sort of aligned with the process. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to us about your practice.
So my practice is going through an interesting transition right now. I am transitioning again as a part of my real life human journey. I've gotten to this space in my career where I'm very much more comfortable kind of in my own skin, in my own style, as you will, than I've ever been before. And so that just looks like for me transitioning my practice to focus less on therapy, right, and more on coaching. And there's a difference between the two, and the people in the counseling field and all that stuff know the difference. Short answer, therapy goes more deeply into kind of childhood traumas and past experiences and helps you to figure out how those things connect to the present. And coaching is more sort of like a here and now model, kind of like, what are the present challenges that you're dealing with? Let's kind of focus a little bit on that, dig a little bit to see where it's coming from, but more focus is going to be put on coming up with a solution-focused plan that you can work right now and see some results, right? And so for me, my practice right now is transitioning from more of a therapy-focused practice to more of a coaching practice, which allows me to be able to work with more people because I'm spending shorter amounts of time in doing, different goals. And then also I am interested in lots of new things, more of a whole kind of alternative, tools and resources to kind of help people with healing. So I'm actually in the process of adding an alternative healing service to my practice. And it's going to be yoni steaming. So vaginal steaming, heard about that. It's kind of a thing, an indigenous traditional practice, but I've learned
more holistic.
Yes, more holistic, right? Healing, just kind of way for women to be able to focus on sort of feminine wellness and things like that. And so I'm going to be adding that to my practice, which means that I'm going to be evolving to a whole brand new practice, kind of like, rebranding and having more holistic wellness, emotional wellness products and tools and services, just all the things that I'm really interested in. I'm adding it to my practice. So my new practice is launching this month. And
Awesome.
the month of March, which is Women's History Month, which is, a month all about the spring and calling in new things and new beginnings. So that's when I decided that I want to kind of rebrand myself and launch this new practice, which is going to be focused all on feminine wellness for the mind, body, and spirit.
That is actually awesome. That is awesome. We all, especially we as women, we are normally so busy taking care of everybody else, we forget to take care of ourselves. Yes. And I'm loving the transition into the holistic. Right. I'm a proponent of dealing with not just, did I go to the gynecologist this year? Did I get my mammogram this year? What about, is my mind okay? Is my right. mental doing well? Yeah. Because there are times that we as women, we just operate on autopilot.
Right. Yeah. Even when you say that, it's just kind of like in my mind, it pops in my mind like, oh yeah, there's a difference between self-maintenance and self-care. Right?
Absolutely.
Maintenance are those things that we're doing. Like, you're gonna go to the gynecologist. I mean, most women, of course, not everyone, but most women understand the importance of at least once a year, or really not even once a year, right? Because now you don't even have to get a pap smear every year. It's like, once, at least
right.
Like every few years or so. So most women know that. That's maintenance, right? Working out, that's maintenance, right? Taking a shower, that's maintenance. But self-care is different. Self-care is the intention that I have to focus on me. So if you say you're taking care of yourself, but you're not really spending intentional time to focus on yourself, then that's not really self-care, right? That's just, something that you do as a part of your maintenance routine. So yeah, there's a big difference. There's a big difference in that.
How does one know when it's time to talk with someone other than my pastor? How do I know when it's probably time?
Yeah. Well, everyone does. This is going to be on your show, so everyone doesn't know me. I was about to say, well, you know me, right? I'm very informal. I like to keep things simple so that it doesn't go over people's heads, right? That's a part of us, kind of our culture. Like, keeping things simple, it resonates with more people, right? And so I think that knowing whether or not you need to talk to someone else besides the pastor is something that we need to keep simple, right? If you know that you need a little bit more time to talk things through, and you need a little bit more privacy or confidentiality than you can really get from a pastor, because let's keep it real. Spiritual counseling and pastoral counseling is definitely needed, right? There's a lane for it.
Yeah.
Right? But as real human beings, right? I got my serial stamp, my questions.
That's right.
Earlier, right? As real human beings, we go through situations when these strong feelings and emotions pop up, like shame, like guilt, right? Like jealousy, like, all of these things that we deal with as real people. Doesn't mean we're doing anything wrong, but when that pops up, if we're talking to someone that we really don't feel that space to really be open and vulnerable, then we're really doing ourselves a disservice, which means that we're really not being intentional about how we're talking about right?
Right.
And so, yeah, what you'll find is you might be going to the pastor and you might be talking, but you might not be seeing that many changes in the particular issues that you're really struggling with, right? And so then people equate that to, oh, counseling doesn't really work, or you can just pray about it, or you can just, but when you're doing the counseling, are you really opening up?
Yeah.
Are you really being vulnerable and talking about those uncomfortable things without judgment, right? Vulnerability without resistance. So it doesn't matter what counselor you go to. It doesn't matter who you're talking to. It doesn't matter if it's a pastor. It doesn't matter if it's the first lady. It doesn't matter if it's the youth minister. It doesn't matter if it's your mom. It doesn't matter if it's a private counselor. If you don't feel the ability to be vulnerable without resistance in the space, then it might work for a little while, but it's not going to be sustainable, right? You're not going to see sustainable changes because the truth is you're really not as comfortable as you could be, which means you're really not getting to the truth and the core
Right.
of the issue.
Right.
That is the difference between seeing a private counselor who's unbiased, who may not know you, who has certain rules of confidentiality that they have to abide by, versus a pastor who is more like, a trusted, supportive, depending on who you are and your pastor, it's more kind of like a family friend, right? A guide, a mentor, right? That's a little bit of a different dynamic. Some people see their pastor as an extension of a parent, right?
Yeah.
And so you think about that. If there are certain things that it's uncomfortable for you to work through with your own parent, why would it be that much easier to work through it with the pastor? So, everything definitely, in order, but that's the difference. That's the power you get in being willing to open up and be able to talk to a professional, or, someone else, again, anyone that you can be vulnerable without resistance. And that's sometimes the problem in pastoral counseling, not on any fault of the pastor, but again, human nature that we're experiencing, it kind of is an obstacle for us a lot. Yeah.
So in the Black community as a whole, many times we'd rather go to the pastor if we see a family member, a friend, a coworker struggling. How do we broach the topic or get that conversation started to say, maybe you might want to touch base with a life coach because I'm struggling with whatever. The pandemic, I'm the walls are closing in on me, and you see that person struggling. How do we broach that topic?
Yeah. Well, listen, I am a therapist, right? Who is in therapy, and it's my belief that everyone should be in therapy, because when I really think about what therapy gives me, the gift that therapy gives me, it's that vulnerability without resistance. And when I can be vulnerable without resistance, without worrying about who's going to say something about the way I feel, who's going to say something about the way, I can't say this because that person will be mad, or, I'm so mad about this, I just want to get it out. I just got to get. When you can be vulnerable without resistance, there's healing that takes place in such a profound way, right? So as a therapist who's in therapy, encouraging others to go to therapy is easy, because I believe everybody should be in therapy, right? If you're not paying a counselor, if you can't afford to pay someone, then again, remember what I said, it doesn't have to be a certain kind of therapist. To
right.
Be a life coach, it could be a close friend. The point is this person, sensible, reliable person that's going to keep your confidentiality? And can you be vulnerable to our resistance? Can you really share what's really coming up for you? Can you really share how you felt when that person in the church said this or that and this came up? You know what I'm saying? And if you can really share, are you able to hear feedback from a supportive person who is not being judgmental, right? So to circle back to your question, how do we broach that? I always say, be honest and say, I totally want to validate, right? I totally understand how you might be feeling, how that might be hard for you. I get it. It makes sense to me why you struggling with that issue. Does it make sense to you? Yes. So if I were you, and I tell this to everyone, I would work on trying to talk to somebody about it. A counselor, a therapist, a life coach. If you don't want to do that, because some people are uncomfortable with that, find you a good trusted friend. Maybe it might be the pastor. Maybe it might be, somebody in the
Right.
ministry at church, but a good trusted someone that you can really be vulnerable and start to talk about these things until you feel comfortable enough going to a counselor, a coach, or someone more long term, or until you feel like you work through the issue, right? And so broaching the issue becomes easier when it's not taboo, because at the end of the day,
Right.
I'm telling everybody, it don't matter who coming to me, if they got a problem, one of my suggestions is going to be try counseling, try coaching. Here's a suggestion, here's a referral. Try to get into a support group. Go to a self-help group. Get on one of these Facebook groups that has a lot that has positive, motivating conversations. Whatever you need to do, broach it in a way that's really simple. Counseling might be something that that you could be benefit from. Why? Because everybody can benefit from it, right? So if there's no need to broach it in a sensitive way because it's something that everyone should be doing, it's less taboo for you to even bring it up.
So we shouldn't just be saying, girl, you need some help.
Yeah, no, yeah, right, right.
Yeah.
So again,
Yeah.
the way, right? The
Yeah.
way in which you do it, the intentionality that you have. So when you're saying, girl, you need some help, are you putting a little extra little messy,
Sauce
little
on it.
petty
Yeah.
little sting on it, right? Because if you are, then are you really being a supportive person, or are you just
Right.
adding to the chaos? You know what I'm saying? And if you are really being a supportive person, then what's the problem with, instead of saying, girl, you need some help, saying, sis, I totally understand what you might be having a hard experience, or, brother, it's hard out here for brothers. That's why me, myself, personally, I believe everybody could benefit from counseling. And from what you're going through, it really helps to be able to talk about it. So, consider that. If you need some people to go to, some suggestions, I know some great counselors like Dr. Tracy, but,
Exactly.
anyone else,
Shameless plug.
or suggest that they go to the path. The point is suggesting that they find a safe space to be vulnerable without resistance. And that takes time, right? That
Right.
you're gonna have to be willing to do it a couple of times, even though you feel uncomfortable. But once you start, once you really give it a chance, I mean, it's definitely a life-changing experience.
So as a life coach, um, what type of techniques do you use in your coaching?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I use a lot of different techniques, right? I've been doing therapy since, oh my goodness, I did my first counseling session in 1999, right? So a long time. I've been sitting with people, holding space for people, asking tough, uncomfortable questions, and really getting my style down. Of all of the techniques and models and things that I've learned and used throughout all of my years of experience in counseling, right now at this particular point in my career and in my personal life, I'm really intrigued with internal family systems counseling, IFS, internal family systems. And IFS is a model that came to me from a very close friend of mine who really started studying more about emotional intelligence and how this idea of kind of like us as Black women in particular, Black people, but Black women in particular, we've sort of been programmed, if you will, or kind of, bred, raised to ignore or disregard or oppress or stuff down our emotions.
Okay.
And it took me a long time. I was just like, no, I'm not stuffing down my emotions. But the more I got to really slow down and see myself, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm totally me. I'm speaking for myself. When I really got to sit down, like I was all intellect, right? All head, brilliant Black woman with a PhD who could, break down any issue that you come with. I'm gonna figure out a plan to get it done. But inside my heart space, I had a lot of issues, a lot of trauma, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, stuff that I had never even talked about again since it happened when I was 14 years old, right? And so when I really started to really look at my emotions and how it was hard for me to even name an emotion. I noticed that about myself. People say, how you feeling today? And I would go off into a story about, this thing happened and that thing happened and all this and that. And then it's just like, but you didn't tell me a feeling.
How you felt. Right.
You told me all the things that you're doing, right? There's lots of doing, but how are you being? How do you feel, right? And so I literally had to start retraining myself to use feeling language and emotion language. And so IFS is a therapy model that helps you to connect to the emotions that are coming up with you in any given situation. And it really teaches you how those emotions are kind of like little parts of yourself that are giving you a signal, that they're being triggered and activated. And so the model is about learning that these little parts of yourself are trying to protect you and keep you safe. And so the idea of the model is to get to know these parts of yourself, right? So one of my parts that I've gotten to know as I have been doing IFS therapy myself as a therapist is I have a little perfectionist part.
Okay.
Perfectionist part. She's my 5-year-old little perfectionist, right? Why is she 5 years old? Because through the model of IFS, I have actually connected with that part of myself and remembered things that I was doing to start becoming a perfectionist at 5 years old.
At 5 years old.
At 5 years old. So that's how I remember, I named her like my little 5-year-old perfectionist. And so whenever I feel emotion around perfectionism, around being super hyper-focused, anxious on getting things right, on doing it in this certain way, on, overachieving, right? Remember what I said, highly intelligent PhD, like I'm super, super, super high achieving. But when that becomes overwhelming for me, then I know my little 5-year-old is activated, right? There's this old idea that I have to do it right. And that's the time for me to say, oh, okay, so I've got to remind that little part of myself, I'm not doing anything wrong. We don't have to get it right. We don't have to do everything the same way. And so that's the process of IFS, spending time in meditation, spending time in quiet, journaling, listening to the voices that come up when I am experiencing certain things. That's the IFS model. And so it's a lot of meditation, it's a lot of visualization, it's a lot of, sort of that holistic alternative model of manifestation and speaking things into existence and learning about your mindset and the way that you're speaking and how that's contributing and creating the things and the people and the circumstances that you attract in your life. So IFS, Internal Family Systems, it's an amazing model of therapy model, and I just get more and more engulfed in it every day. When I am doing life coaching now, I'm doing more of IFS kind of coaching, right? Because again, remember, coaching is a different model than therapy. But there are certain IFS techniques that I love that I throw in there for my coaching clients to really help them connect with what is that current emotion that's coming up.
Right.
You know, if we can know that and we can get to that, then we can get to the solution, which is the big part of coaching as well. So IFS, Internal Family Systems, it's a great model. Definitely check it out. And I think that that's definitely my forerunner right now. Other therapy models and techniques, I mean, you know, you incorporate them naturally, but my main focus is IFS, you know, some solution focused kind of things, you know, but particularly IFS. I'm an IFS level 1 trained therapist. So it's been really cool exploring that model and seeing the strides that it's helped me to make personally, as well as my clients who, you know, allow me to work with them in that way.
That is absolutely awesome. I love that. I guess for me, what I am learning now, I'm in the process of writing a book. I actually started writing the book some years ago, and I got to a place in the book and I got stuck, and I put it down.
Okay.
And the book has been calling me back to it. You know, it's time for the inner child, and who's writing the book is my inner child.
Oh, cool. That's nice. Yeah.
That's who's writing the book. That's where the voice of the inner child. And that is helping me so much to move past some of the minutia of life. You know, some of the insanity of life, to allow that, you know, you talk about your 5-year-old perfectionist, but to allow my inner child to just speak when she needs to speak, when she has nothing to say, it's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, and I mean, listen, I'm honest, right? I was one of those therapists who believed, you know, okay, you remember, I'm a perfectionist. So I'm just following the script, right? They taught us to do it like this in school. We read these books. We took these tests. They gave me a degree. They gave me a license, you know, so I'm just following the script, follow the script. But in my own personal life, I started to realize, you know, this script sucks. I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing, and nothing that I want is really manifesting in the way that I want it. And so it became this journey for me, right, that I was on personally. And here I am guiding other people to coming to me for therapy. And I am in my own life like, oh my God, I don't know what to tell these people. They're not going to listen to me. And so that is definitely a thing that I was thinking. This inner child stuff, oh, it's not that deep. Like, I mean, you know, everybody don't have childhood trauma. You know, if you didn't experience neglect or abuse or, you know, sexual abuse in some way, you don't really have inner child trauma, right? Until I started to acknowledge that this perfectionistic issue has been with me since 5. There's someone in there. There's something happened to me when I was 5 years old. And emotionally, it started this program that was like, okay, and we're never going to experience that again. So in order so that we never experience that again, we're going to be ready. We're going to be on top of it. We're going to make sure we know everything. We're going to study everything. We're going to get A's. We're going to be organized. We're going to plan. We're not going to let anything hit us unexpectedly. And that was locked in starting at 5 years old. I'm 41 now, right? So I've had lots of experiences in my life that have all been shaped by this 5-year-old perfectionist who is driving the show, right? Everything from my career to my personal life, my family, my relationships, my romantic relationship, everything has been some way, shape, or form influenced by this idea of this perfectionism. She's pretty strong, right? 5 years old, like she's pretty strong. So again, spending time with her, getting to know her. One of the mottos of IFS is all parts are welcome, right? So I'm not getting, I used to when I first started, but I don't get aggravated and frustrated and frazzled when I noticed myself in my little perfectionist ways, right? I'm gentle with myself. I acknowledge, oh, that's my little 5-year-old. Okay, she must be needing some attention. She must be worried about some things. Let me sit down and slow down. Let me have some meditation time. Let me have some prayer time, some tea time, some bath time, some shower time. Let me go for a walk in nature and really sit and listen to what this emotion, this feeling is trying to tell me. Because if I'm frazzled about anything, that means it's coming up for a reason. So I have to make time now to slow down and sit and pause and tap in and tune in and go within and see, what do I really need at this time, right? So as you listen to your 5-year-old, like, let her write that book, like, let her say what she needs to say. Yeah. One of my clients has been using the technique of voice recordings. You know, I mean, she was doing journaling, but she was like, I took it even deeper than journaling. Instead of journaling, I grab my phone now and I do a voice memo, and going back and listening to the voice memo has made such a difference. It's like, she's like, I don't even remember when I was saying that, but it made so much sense at that time when I went back and listened to it. So there's all of different kinds of ways for you to work with and engage, you know, and heal in the way that works best for you, but focusing on the inner child and those inner parts. And, you know, it doesn't have to be childhood. I have another part who's 24, right? And she's trapped in that idea of marriage and having kids and having a house and a white picket fence and all of these things. And so many of my dating and relationship choices have been influenced by her my relationship part. That's like, come on, girl, you wasting time. We're getting old. You gotta, you know. And so she's leading the show, and now she's making a choice that's probably not the best relationship decision for me, because it really doesn't align with the type of relationship that I say I want. So getting in touch, I said all that to say, getting in touch with my parts through learning about IFS, it's been a game changer for me. Game changer for me personally, and therefore a game changer for my practice and the way I work with clients. And I mean, it's been tremendous healing going forward. Just helping people to think about what's happening with them and the emotions that they're experiencing in a different way than, oh, something's wrong with me. I'm having this sadness. I'm having this depression, having this anxiety. Something's wrong. No, this is a part of yourself that's activated. It makes perfect sense why they activate it. When you look at this, have you had these experiences in the past, where this comes from? When you look at it all together collectively, it makes sense. So definitely go forward with listening to your inner child and allowing her to get out all that she wants to say, for sure.
That is like really great advice. Another question: how does one know when we may be possibly clinically depressed and not just having a sad day? Because we all have sad days, right?
Right.
How do I know that I may be clinically depressed? And then B portion, what do I do when I realize that this is more than just a sad day?
Yeah. Well, for me, you know, again, I like to keep it simple, right? So, you know, for folks in the field, we know what clinical depression means. And, you know, it's a list and it has certain designations, the DSM and all that stuff. But to keep it simple, right? If you are experiencing extreme sadness to the point where you're not functioning for more than a 2-week period at a time, then it's time for you to talk to someone. Right? You don't need it to be labeled as clinical depression to know that. It's just keep it simple. Like, if you, and depression is oftentimes situational, right? If you're going through a breakup, if you've lost a loved one, if you're having a hard time at work, yes, okay, we go through situations in life, time passes, weeks passes, all right, it might be hard. I might have had to eat a couple of gallons of pints of ice cream and, whatever. I go through I do my thing, but eventually 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, maybe I'm back. Maybe not 100%, but I'm back. You know, I'm out and about. I'm functional. But if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and you're still not functional, you need to go talk to somebody. This is that
Okay.
simple. Yeah, someone who will allow you to be vulnerable without resistance, right? So we're not talking about go 3 weeks, you depressed, and then you schedule an appointment with to go talk to the pastor, and then you sit there talking to the pastor, and then you're not really keeping it real about what's really bothering you because you don't feel like you could really, I don't really want to say that to the pastor. That's not talking to somebody.
Right. Right.
A safe space where you can be vulnerable without resistance. If you're at the 2 week mark and your sadness and your anxiety or your restlessness or sleeplessness or hearing voices, whatever it is, if it's lasting for more than 2 weeks, it's time to talk to somebody.
Does depression show up the same with everybody? You know, okay, I'm not sad, but I'm overeating.
Right.
I'm binge eating.
Right.
Is that a form of depression?
Definitely. Right. And so it looks as different as the people on the planet. Right. Everyone is different. So your depression is not going to look like my depression, but that don't mean it's not depression. Right. Okay. It looks like whatever it looks like for you. You know, for me, for somebody that's a homebody, if you say I haven't gone out in 6 months, I've been so sad, I haven't gone out in 6 months. But you're a homebody, so you don't really usually go out that much anyway, right? So that might not be that bad to somebody that's a homebody. But to someone that's an outgoing person, they like being out and about, they like mingling and mixing, and it's 4 weeks, we had a month, and they still can't drag themselves out of bed. They're afraid to go out of the house. They're still, you know, it might be PTSD. They're still thinking about that incident that happened. It's time to talk to someone in a safe space where you can be vulnerable without resistance. So your depression looks like whatever it looks like for you. Whatever is not the normal thing for you, right? If you're overeating, that's not safe or healthy for you.
Right.
So that means your sadness.
I'm spending too much.
Spending too much, right? Drinking too much. Partying too much. Working too much, right? Like anything, talking too much. You know, I mean, social media too much. Anything in excess can be unhealthy for you. So again, you have to be able to tune in, tap into self, and keep it real with yourself and say, okay, realistically, do I feel like this is a problem? Is this really a problem for me? Like your psyche is there, your ori. That's what they, in African spirituality, Yoruba, African culture, Nigeria, the word for your head, your consciousness, right? Your Holy Spirit that lives within you. It's called the Ori, O-R-I, like, right? Your head. Why? Because all of us have one. No matter who you are, no matter what church you go to, no matter what YouTuber or pastor or whoever you following, they got a head just like you.
Right.
Right? That's for a reason. Because every one of us has the ability to be guided from within through your head. So, for sure, figure out what it is for you. Ask yourself and be honest with yourself. And yourself will let you know whether or not it's time to go talk to somebody. You know, and no shame, no judgment in that. Shame and judgment out the window, okay? It's 2022. But I mean, the world, some people would say, the world has gone to hell in a handbasket. Like anything goes out here in this world. So I'm hoping that also helps us, you know, to shed a little bit of that taboo culture, you know, of judgment and, you know, feeling like saying I need some help is something that I should be embarrassed about because it's not.
Finding our inner voice, finding that voice understand and, not listening to that voice that says, nobody wants to hear what you have to say. It's not important.
Right. So here's the thing, right? Again, so IFS, right? You understand all parts are welcome. So even that part that's saying you're not important, the work is listen closer, get a little bit more curious. When does that part show up? Is it when I'm doing certain things? Is it when I'm thinking about certain things? Is it when I'm around or interacting with certain people that I start to hear my part that says, these negative things to me, right? Because again, not judgment, not I'm so embarrassed, I'm so tired of this, I'm so frustrated that no, let me get curious. Like there's a part of myself that keeps popping up anytime I'm in this situation telling me that I'm not good enough. And I know that's not true. So now I need to get a little bit more curious about why this part thinks that it needs to tell me that I'm not good enough, because that's coming from a fear, right? It's trying to protect me from something. So, let me sit with myself and ask myself, what do I think this part is afraid of, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about that, and I pull out my journal, and then I might jot down the first thing that comes to my mind, right? Or I might not sit right there right now. I might just think to myself, what do I think this part is afraid of? And then I might go about my business in my regular work day, and then I might be sitting in a session working with a student, and that student says something, and then when that student says something, that part in my mind says, I'm afraid that you are going to put us in a situation where we get our feelings hurt again. And you're like,
that's what it is.
Okay. So that's what's happening. So when I hear that voice telling me you're stupid, you can't do this, that means that in that moment, I'm probably feeling afraid that I'm not gonna get it right. I'm gonna do something wrong. So that you see all of those different pieces, those different layers that we kind of talk through. That's therapy. That's coaching. That's how we figure out what's coming up for us and slowly make our way to what we need for healing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is awesome, because we all need healing from something.
Yeah.
You know,
all of us. Again, that's why I said earlier, we all need therapy. Everyone. Right. There's not a person who's having an experience on planet Earth that hasn't experienced something
absolutely
that they're probably gonna need to talk about, at some point.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Yeah. I was having a conversation with someone today, and we were talking about this interview, that we're having today, and I was saying, they asked me why mental health, and I said, you think about people like Robin Williams.
Okay.
One of the funniest men on he was one of the funniest men on the planet. But he was depressed.
Yeah.
He suffered from depression.
Yeah.
And what helped him was making other people laugh. He saw that he had that ability to make people laugh. But he could not find peace within himself to make himself laugh.
Right.
So inner peace is so important.
Because I loved Robin Williams. It was devastating when he passed away, because one of the happiest people that you ever on the outside, right?
Absolutely. And committed suicide.
Yeah, but it just goes to show you how, I used to do a presentation called the mask we wear, right? We can make it look great on the outside, but again, if you're not going within, if you're not being honest
with yourself,
vulnerable without resistance to say, I'm funny and I make people laugh, but deep down inside, I feel like I'm suffocating inside because I'm that unhappy with my life. Let me go to someone and talk about that and really get some support and some help. You know what I'm saying? Had Robin Williams let us know I struggle with depression as well. Think of the outpouring of support that he would have been able to get in addition to what support that he was getting, if he, whatever support that he was getting at that time.
Right.
But, it just changes a lot of things. Again, vulnerability without resistance. But for whatever reason, I was shocked because I had never heard anything about Robin Williams even being unhappy. So I don't think he was able to have vulnerability without resistance.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What else would you suggest to us to move forward in our journey to become or to attain mental health? Okay, I've realized I've been sad. It's been 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? And I can't shake this sadness. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to find a life coach, a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do that. What else do I do? I'm journaling.
Yeah.
What else would you suggest
Yeah.
that I do in this journey to attain good mental health?
Yeah. I really think the key to good mental health is going within, being connected to your head, really tapping in. It's like, I was trying to think about how to describe it, like the voice with it, right?
Yeah.
Build a relationship with the parts within, right? With yourself, your higher self, your Ori, right? That highest part of us, that beautiful part of us that knows what we want, that's connected to the Most High, that is, aligned with all those wonderful things. And then we have the parts of ourselves that develop through our lived experiences and things that we go through, right? So the goal on this journey is to develop a relationship with all of you. The good parts, the bad parts. There are no good parts. There are no bad parts. You're getting to the point where it's like,
right.
I'm okay with all of me. There's no good. There's no bad. There's me. I decide what I want to do, how I want to move forward. I get to choose. I get to create and build and navigate this journey the way that I want to. Right. And so the biggest thing on this journey of mental health, good mental health, is really taking time for yourself in an intentional way. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't even have to pay to go to therapy right away. If you can't afford it, it's pretty affordable, right? Because you can see these days, you can see a therapist for, I know therapists who are doing sessions for $60, right?
Okay.
So there are very affordable sessions. There's insurance. There's even Medicaid, Obamacare, where people can get the counseling that they need totally and completely free. Now, do you have to have a little patience? Because you might take a while to get in for an appointment because there's lots of other people who also need that service. Yeah, but in the meantime, being focused and intentional about sitting, listening, tapping into self, right? How much time do you really spend sitting in quiet with yourself, listening to yourself, asking yourself some tough questions? Like I have tons of self-help books. You got all these different, they give you a quote a day. You got the power of a praying woman, the power of a praying man, the power of a praying spouse, the power of a praying. We got a bajillion self-help books to help you come up with the way that resonates with you. The key is to actually do it. Right. So if that means I'm going to just make a commitment to start small, and I'm going to say, I'm going to wake up 20 minutes early every morning. And all I'm going to do is get up, go to the bathroom, and sit in silence for 20 minutes. I'm just going to breathe and I'm going to sit. I'm not going to let my mind wander to whatever. And when it does that, I'm just going to bring it back and say, I'm breathing and I'm sitting, right? Because that's okay too. When your mind does wander, bringing it back shows that you're meditating. So that's the meditation, right? So people sometimes they sit down and they're like, I can't meditate. I can't sit there. Like every time I sit down and I start to try to meditate, my mind thinks about 50 million things. Right. The practice of meditation is you notice that you're thinking about something, that you're distracted, bring your mind back. You're distracted, bring your mind back. You're distracted, bring your mind back. And the more you bring your mind back, eventually you're going to stop having to bring your mind back so much, because your mind is going to start to get less and less distracted. And man, what kind of healing could come through if I wasn't so distracted with so much other stuff going on, right? But you don't get to that part until you make a commitment to wake up 10 minutes earlier every day. So you see, it's a small thing. A small thing can be the catalyst to the change, the shift, the transformation, the transitions that you need in your life. But first and foremost, you have to be willing to sit with and connect to and get to know and spend time with your true self.
It's so awesome. It is so awesome. Dr. Tracy, I want to thank you so much for spending time with us this evening. Where can we find you? What's going on with you? What can we support you?
Yes. So as I said earlier, I'm in the process of transitioning. My new practice is right now I'm doing kind of friends and family month. I'm inviting all my friends and family members to kind of come and try my new service and look at my new space and things like that. And I'm hoping that by the end of this month, my new website and my new website will launch. So if folks are looking for me to connect with life coaching services and any other types of holistic services that I'm offering in the future, they can find me at my new business. Is going to be called Queens Bayou Holistic Wellness. And you can find me on Facebook at Queens Bayou Holistic Wellness. You can find me on Instagram at Queens Bayou Wellness. And you can find me on my website. Keep connected to me on my website. If you go there, www.queensbayouwellness.com, you can put in your email address and sign up to be notified when we have updates about when the store will be launching and opening and all that good stuff like that. So I'm super excited about that. And I want to thank you so much for this opportunity. This was awesome. I'm so excited about your show. Looking forward to big things and looking forward to coming back soon. Again, having these casual talks. I love this. This is my jam for sure. I prefer this any day over talking to, giving a speech to a room full of people. I love the more casual, informal, really where I get to keep it real and talk to the people from my heart conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And we will definitely invite you back. We want to have you back. As our channel grows, we're going to put together panels and things like that. We're still in our infant stage right now. Yes. But we look forward to doing big things. Yes. We have enjoyed the conversation today. Thank you for joining us off this plan. And you have a great rest of your evening.
Yes, too. You too. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye for now.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.